open up the floor for questions.
Coach, talk about what went well in the second quarter. Really, really good push for you guys, and talk about who sparked that really strong run that you guys had.
I thought we had some momentum. Obviously, I thought Bella came in and did a pretty good job there for us in the second quarter. I think the difference there for me was we were able to lock them up a little bit defensively. It seemed like we were getting 50-50 balls. We were out rebounding them. We played a little bit tougher than they did in the whole first half, for the most part, not the very beginning of the game. But I feel like we settled in and did that. And then in the second half, we did not. We didn't do any of that. And I feel like a broken record from the last game that we sat here and talked, because in the end, it was toughness. We got out-rebounded. Was it by 7 in the second half? It seemed like every big play that needed to be made, either Sarah Ashley Barker or Aaliyah and I made it. And our kids didn't make the plays that needed to be made. So there's things that went well. There's things that didn't go well. That's basketball. That's sports for you. But again, we have some things to figure out as it relates to toughness and being able to close out games wherever. On our home floor, on the road, we can't play a second half like we played today and think that we're going to win any games left on our schedule. And that's the truth. So we either figure that out as a unit, and I'm the head of the snake, right? So I figured that out. I'm going to find 5 people that I can trust and that are going to go in there. Now, okay, Jordan Cambridge was in foul trouble. I felt like 3 of those calls were really, really bad. But that's not in our control. And again, I think consistency is hard to come by when you look at the way that the games are called. It wasn't in our favor today. It is what it is, and we have to figure out a way to still come through and do the things we need to do to win the game. So that withstanding, right? Jordan Cambridge fouled out. We had the same thing in the first game of the SEC, and we were able to figure it out. Today we weren't. I think it's really important that while we challenge our players in this moment, that we also, we're calling them out. I'm telling them they need to be tougher, and that we need to make more defensive plays, more toughness plays down the stretch. But it's more calling them up, because I know they can do it. I know they can do it. But in the moments that we need to get it done, we're just not getting it done. And so it's incumbent upon me to make sure that we figure that out in practice, and that the people that can do those things for us when it matters are in the game.
The fourth quarter, do you think that the struggles are because Jordan fouled out, or were there other things that you saw?
There are other things that I saw. I mean, you can't ever put it on that one thing. I feel like we had some miscommunication on defense, just gave up a couple wide open layups. And you can also see when when we had a couple bad calls, we felt like not go our way, you can see the wind get taken out of our sails. You know what I mean? That's what can happen. So I saw plays, we missed some open shots. We made a couple of bad passes. We turned the ball over. And then I saw things where it just looked like, the momentum shifted. And that's what I mean. We can't see that. That can't happen. You never know in the course of a game how it's going to play out. You can make 3 or 4 bad plays in a row and then make the next 3 or 4 plays and you're still in the game. And I feel like right now our kids are leaning towards when it rains, it pours. So we'll make a couple bad plays in a stretch, and then all of a sudden it's 5 or 6, and the momentum has completely shifted. And I tell them all the time, I don't have enough timeouts for that, guys. So we got to figure that out. And I know that we will. I just hate that these are the ways that we're having to find out, because they're hard, and this is painful. This is painful, painful growth. So, like I said in the beginning, I'm hopeful that we can make some changes that need to be made. I see flashes of it. That's why I know it's there. But I got to see it when it matters. We got to do it when it matters, and that's just reality.
What made it so difficult to guard Nye and Barker tonight on the defensive end?
Are you an athlete? Did you ever play sports?
Just in high school.
Yeah. Those 2 are dogs. That's what made it difficult. Those 2 are dogs. They weren't going to back down. And one of them was more had more physicality. Sarah Ashley Barker was just going to do what she wanted to do, and the other one just waited until we made a mistake. We helped off the wrong person, and she knocked in threes. So I don't know necessarily that it was, you know, it wasn't what we did, it was how we did it. They were just, it seemed like in that moment, weren't going to be denied, but I want my players to deny them. I want my players to figure out how to step up and make those same plays on defense and on offense. But to me, those two were the difference in the game today down the stretch.
It's felt like there's been a couple games where, you know, the fourth quarter has been an issue, including some of the games that you won. Is that maybe an issue with maybe the bench depth or players not being able to get through a full game? You know, is there a certain thing that goes into that?
It's worth it, you know, it's a good question. Gosh, I think if we'd have figured that out, we probably wouldn't have lost these last couple of games, huh? But I think there's a couple things, I think. Number one, I probably need to give Ayanna and Jordan a little bit more of a breather, and maybe Sasha. But when you have such a thin margin of error right now, and I don't have the same level of belief and trust for long periods of time in the lineups that we have in, then I have to think about, you know, whether or not I can give them that break. And that's just youth. That's growing. That's another thing where that's a growing pains thing. I need to put them in there. They get experience, but sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's not good. How long do you leave them in there? But I think the more experience those guys get in games, the better it's going to be. And there aren't going to be any blowout games. So I think probably the answer is making sure that we have an ability to get those three kids breathers and a solid idea of the lineups that we feel like can sustain that time for them. And right now I don't have that yet. So we're going to keep working on that in practice and figure out how we can do it while being consistent with our effort on both ends and our production on both ends.
All right, Coach, thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.